Hi there and welcome to Saving Ophelia. My name is Thijs and this is part of Ophelia, my 70-year-old German-built steel boat, which is in a bit of a rough shape, hence the saving part. I took an extended and involuntary break from boat work during the winter, but I recently started back up again and even had Ophelia hauled out of the water to fix a very important issue with her hull. That video, however, isn't quite there yet. I'm messing with the editing. So this time we're going to have a look at how I got these off the ground single-handedly without a crane. Well, anyways, one of the last things I did during the winter that I've recorded and uploaded was move the masts from the boat, those down there, and into the garden, again, back here. And during the winter that was okay. It might have been wet, but it was also cold. Now, as you can see, well, we're actually past spring and into the summer. And this isn't just wet. It's been quite a wet spring really. But anyways, it's been quite wet and it's probably going to remain that way. And well, that's not good for the masts. I think they're done for anyway. This was pointed down earlier, so I didn't know how bad it was, but you can see that's not good. I could probably replace that, but anyways, this is going to get a whole lot worse if I leave these here. They aren't exactly on the ground. They're kept off the ground by some old cushions and stuff, so there's nowhere there shouldn't be anywhere where there's ground contact, but I want them off the ground, and to that purpose I bought these ground screws, and I'm going to, well, oddly enough, screw those into the ground and then use these back here, cut them in half as a kind of legs, and then some cross bracing that I can place the masts on, lift them off the ground and place them on that. That should keep them about, well, 80-90 centimeters off the ground, and then I can cover them with a tarp or something, and that should be, well, quite good storage for something like this, even if I'm probably not going to reuse it. I'm considering what I'm going to do instead, which could be aluminium masts or steel, or well, probably not going to be new wooden masts. But anyways, I need to get these screwed into the ground in 3 places. One down here, one up there, and then one at the, well, not entirely the far end, but somewhere up there. And then, of course, matching on the other side of the mast. And then, well, then I need to lift them. For that, I have these I'm going to build, not quite an A-frame, but something of that. And then I have a, what do you call it? Well, a lifting device. At any rate, it's a geared lifting device that should be able to lift up to a metric ton. So lifting these should just about work out. At any rate, if I'm in trouble, I can lift them one at a time, so I think that's going to work out. And, well, yeah, that's today's project. All the while avoiding this, well, what I call a flower bed, I guess. My wife planted a lot of wildflowers here, and I'm going to be dead if I ruin that. So, yeah, that's probably the most challenging part of it. Well, there is the weather. As I said, it's been quite wet, and that doesn't look entirely stable, and if it gets too wet I can't really work out here because this gets very, very wet. So, oh well, but need to get these off the ground so they don't rot and so we can mow the grass. Let's get started. Yeah, I'm going to start down here at the heavy end, then I think I might have to move the other heavy end, the one of the smaller mast, down towards here, but for now I'm going to place the 2 ground screws in the ground here and figure out what the distance is going to be. Hopefully the ground is soft enough to allow me to get the screws in quite quickly. So I just tried if I could lift the masts individually, and I can't. It seems they're stuck together in some way. I removed the one thing that I was pretty sure was keeping them together. I had a strap of the orange thing back here, but there shouldn't be anything. Oh no, wait, there's a strap back here, but that's just the furler that's being stuck to the main mast, and well, something tying them here, but again just the furler and the main mast. Can't really, wow, that's too much grass, really can't see anything. Should have moved them while the grass was shorter. Oh, coulda, shoulda, woulda. Anyways, can't see what should be keeping them together, but I think I'll have to lift them as one. And that means that the next support is going to be back here, because that's just around where the balance point is, I think. The mast is clearly most heavy at that end, and well, the shorter one here. That means that the overwhelming weight of the mast is somewhere in this area rather than up here, although most of the mast is here. So I'm thinking that if I make the other support here, well, hereabouts anyway, should be able to lift them right here. Well, let's see how that works out. So I thought I was going to do this entire spiel about how to get these placed properly, but it turns out that it doesn't really matter as long as, well, how they're placed doesn't matter. As long as they're close enough to the mast and they're driven in solidly enough, then the exact placement doesn't really matter. So, well, that's just going to be how it is. And the last one, I think, is going to come in somewhere around up here, because, well, there isn't too, oh, there we go. There isn't too much weight. So I think somewhere around here, and then let that part just hang out. The majority of the weight is down here. So if I place them around here, well, that should be good enough, I think. So with the ground screws in place here and here and up there, I could start building the legs or the columns, or, well, I don't know what you would call them, for the entire thing to sit on, but I'm not entirely sure how tall, how high it's going to be. It can't be any more than half the length of these, because I only have those three, and well, I can't buy any more today, so that's what I've got. And I can't just cut them at the middle, because as you might be able to see, the ground slopes quite a bit in two directions. It goes downwards here, and here it goes, well, a bit wonky. It goes up from here, and then it goes down again. And if I just cut them equally, that's going to look weird. And I'm not sure exactly how much the height difference is. It might be quite a bit, actually. So it might be something like that one cut 3/4 up, and then that one the same, and then swap the pieces around for things to fit. But now I'm going to start looking into lifting, because that should give me a hint as to what to do here. And for that, I'm going to build my almost an A-frame. If I had if I built a real A-frame, I would just join that at the top, and then, well, these two ends would be apart, and they'd had some kind of cross linkage. But I'm not entirely sure that the cross linkage at the bottom could go underneath the masts. Probably could, but I'm not entirely sure, and I don't want to mess around with stuff like that. So for now, I'm going to join that at the top with that giant metal eye here, set the right distance and then put it in place, and then I'm going to lock them in place, I think, with those gigantic screws back here. Oh, they don't look as big from here. Let's zoom in a bit. Even further, yeah. Oh, no, that's lousy picture quality, but anyway, you can see the screws. And I think I'm going to lock them in place for that, and then I might place a cross linkage further up, but I have to be far enough from the top that I can lift to that height. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to do that, but for now I'm just going to join the top. I'm going to pre-drill, because otherwise that giant thing might split the wood. I don't think it will, but I'm going to pre-drill anyway, and then, well, then put it in place and see. Getting a lifting strap on the masts turned out to be slightly problematic, but a stick in the loop of the strap and then a few love taps, the hand solved that problem. So I hooked up the strap and started lifting, and as if by magic the mast started rising, while you could hear the glass being rolled loose. It turned out that the giant metal eye wasn't quite giant enough and was ripped clean out of one of the beams. I had it shaft changed as well. The supporting screws were sheared off, so I rebuilt and strengthened the frame and used a lifting sling to catch the winch instead of the eye, and I tried lifting again from a safe distance. Well, as you might have noticed, it started raining. And while I was gathering stuff, just before it started raining, it seemed that the frame tipped over. I'm not sure how or why, because I wasn't there. I just came back and it was tipped over and then the rain started. But at any rate, I got the masts off the ground, not evenly. It's lifted quite a lot more here at the center than this at the ends, specifically that end down there. So how does that song go? I can see clearly now the rain is gone. Lorraine is gone. No, rain is gone. Anyway, the rain is gone. I'm not too sure about seeing clearly though, but I think my real plan was to lift here at the center and then, well, have something under it and then fasten the other end, well, build something under that as well. That's not a very good explanation, but I hope you get what I'm going at. First the center and then the ends, but I'm not entirely sure that's a good plan. So also you have the roller furler that's a bit tenuous. I have to be a bit careful about that because it could break, and that would be an expensive mistake. I'd rather not do that. So what I'm thinking right now is to lift this end, build the supports under that end, then go to the center. That would have the short mast, the mizzen mast. That would have that completely supported. And well, that would have the main mast, leave that with the end hanging, but that shouldn't be a problem because that can most definitely support itself. I managed to get the chain stuck in the winch here, and it's with enough pressure that I can't get this off, so I can move it around, and can't seem to get it out which is ever so annoying. This is where I wish I'd do stuff live, because then someone might be able to tell me, don't do that. But the chain was well and truly stuck, but once again a few love taps with a hammer turned out to be the solution I needed. In the immortal words of my grandfather, don't use force, take a bigger hammer. So with that out, I need to reposition the sling because, well, it's quite a lot too long. I wonder if it slipped that way. I thought I placed it further this way here. It might have. I'm trying to use 2 because that should give me a bit of balancing. So when I'm not just lifting under 1 point but under 2, that should give it a bit more leeway in regards to balancing. But yeah, still trying to work this out. Oh well, because that one's definitely too long. I can't lift it like that. Guess we'll see what I can do. Before I could fasten the center beam, it started raining again. I hurriedly packed up my stuff and then went out again in an attempt to keep the winch dry. The rain didn't let up though, so I donned my rain gear and set to work despite the rain. I really hate being rained on. I couldn't really get both masts to the height I wanted with the setup I had made, so I temporarily fastened the beam where I could. With the temporary support in place, I lowered the mast and then moved on to lifting only the main mast, so I could get the beam for the heavy end placed correctly. With the heavy end of the main mast supported more or less where I wanted it, I returned to the center support. I lifted the mizzen mast out of the way and clamped the support to the main mast before screwing it in place on the legs. So that was it for today. I have the masts off the ground. I do need a bit of cross bracing here between these, the support point and the center, and that support point in the center, because otherwise I could do like like 3 dominoes and go to either side. I don't think it would, but just to be on the safe side. That's why I had the cross bracing down here as well, to avoid it going that way. But yeah, they're off the ground, they don't bend, they are approximately level, not quite as level as I would have wanted it, but yeah, again, this ain't rocket surgery, how the saying goes, so this should be good enough. I'll still need to work out some covering, because right now they're off the ground, which means they won't get wet from below and they won't rot from below, but I do need them to dry out. The thing is, if I just put a top over them, I'll have condensation on the inside of the top, which will make the masts wet from the inside, and they'll be warm and wet, and yeah, that's going to be no good. So something to keep it off, keep the top off the masts, and preferably also to let out the moisture that's going to be captured in there. But that's for another time. This was the project for today. And it seems the rain finally stopped. Yeah, for now. The forecast says it's going to rain for the next week or so. So, yeah, well, I got done what I needed. Now the mosquitoes out. You might have seen me going for them. I hate mosquitoes, so I'm going to grab my stuff and go inside. I hope you enjoyed this more than I did, and that you'll join me another time for some more work, well, hopefully on Ophelia herself and not just this paraphernalia, which is probably going to be written off anyway. But yeah, there's plenty of stuff to do still. This just had to be done now.